Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this video, if you could just hit that sub button down below, that would massively help me out because we're on to 10k now and we're hoping to do it before the start of the Premier League season. So today though, we're going to be talking about Anton Stach, the Hoffenheim midfielder that Leeds have been linked with. Can play at centre-back, he can play in holding midfield, and he can play in the number 8 role as well, but is more primarily suited to being the DM, the number 6, the holding midfielder. He stands at 6'3.5" tall. He is a huge dominating presence in midfield. Like I say, currently playing for Hoffenheim in a team that did play in the Europa League last season, so he's got European experience as well as a lot of Bundesliga experience as well, which Bundesliga is one of the leagues who can be most kind of comparative to the Premier League in terms of quality, in terms of the style of play almost a little bit as well. He's 26 years old, so again, another player at this 26 years old seems to be a bit of a theme here of players who are kind of just coming into the prime. So yes, they'll still have resale value, but they've already had that chance to prove themselves a bit as well. So I think it's a great age to sign players. The rumoured transfer value, market value, is 14 million euros, but I imagine that somebody like Hoffenheim would be asking for more like 20 to 25 million euros if they were to sell Anton Stach, because he's a very important player to them in terms of the way that they play and the way that they defend as well. So first of all, I mean, usually we do this at the end, but we'll talk about his injury record, because a lot of the time we have seen that players have huge injury lists. But when we look at Anton Stach, the last time he spent any kind of significant amount of time out of football was in the 18-19 season, where he spent 88 days and missed 15 games. But since then, in the last 5 years, he's only missed 6 games in 5 years. So through illness or injury. So he's a player who's gonna stay fit, hopefully. He's a player who, for the most part, you'd like to think will stay fit and do well at being a click-like player who is kind of an ever-present figure. And I think if we were to sign him, he would be in the team every single week. And there's a lot of good reasons for that. He's right-footed, and like I said, he can play in that holding midfield role. He has played centre-back a fair few times, but his main thing is playing in that holding midfield role. The type of player he is then, he's great defensively. He's somebody who's always going to break up that play for you, making sliding tackles, making standing tackles, and his ability to then take the ball and do something with it is something that we like as well. We don't want to just have a player like who makes the tackle and then gets up and just kind of plays a simple 2-yard pass and it doesn't really help the team. Whilst that is a valid way of playing, Anton Stach is going to do something a bit more. It's kind of like your Calvin Phillips, not in the same mould exactly because of the physicality is a bit different, but in the style of he makes a great challenge, he gets up, and then he's got that ability to ping a long pass or play a nice little threaded pass into another midfielder. He's got that ability to have quality on the ball, as well as being somebody who's going to do really well for you in terms of breaking up the play and making tackles. So when we have a little look at some of his statistics then, let's go first of all into his defending, because this is his primary attribute. This is one thing that he's great at, breaking things up. His worst statistic is his tackles, 2.18, which puts him in that's per 90, puts him in the 57th percentile. So just above average for that. But, I mean, I mentioned it in the last video as well, ironically, when we're talking about Sebastian Bornau. Tackles only have to be made when you make a mistake, is what Paolo Maldini once said. If I have to make a tackle, I've already made a mistake because I've not read the game well enough to make an interception. So when we look at his interceptions, 1.65 per 90, that's puts him in the 93rd percentile, so the top 7% in the whole of Europe's top 5 leagues based on midfielders. Blocks, 1.6 per 90, 85th percentile. Clearances, 3.65 per 90, 99th percentile, so the top 1% for clearances. And aerials, 1.83, puts him in the 88th percentile. So again, we are building a team here of players who can actually win the ball in the air. Of course, we already had Joe Rodon, who's great at that aerial presence, but other than that, in the team, didn't really have that many players who are going to win you aerial duels. So now we've got Sebastian Bornau, Joe Rodon, Jakub Bijol, and if we do sign Anton Stach in the midfield as well to help out in those aerial duels to win the ball. And in a lot of situations, especially when you've got a player like maybe Jakub Bijol or Sebastian Bornau, who, if they're under pressure, they might have to send the ball with a long clearance. And somebody like Anton Stach is going to be able to hopefully drop further forward a little bit and win that header. So he's somebody who is definitely going to improve us in the aerial department as well, from set pieces and stuff as well. In terms of actual goals and assists this season, he's got 1 goal in the Bundesliga and 1 goal in the Europa League, 2 assists in the Bundesliga and 0 assists in the Europa League. So he's not necessarily somebody who's going to create that many chances, but he's not bad for it. Shot creating actions at 2.26 per 90 puts him in the 51st percentile. So versus midfielders, he's almost bang on average for creating chances, creating opportunities for his teammates. So that's really not a bad thing. He's not really supposed to be that creative midfielder. You are hoping to sign a number 10 and hopefully another number 8 who can bring the ball forward a little bit as well. So Anton Stach's not necessarily your guy for that, but he does like to take shots. 1.42 shots per 90 puts him up in the 78th percentile. So he's taking more shots than most players are, which suggests as well, and from what I've seen of him, that he will be a player who gets forward a little bit more. He will try to get forward and get on the edge of the box and take shots. One of his strengths, according to WhoScored.com, is his or the style of play. He likes to shoot from distance, obviously likes to tackle and things like that as well, but his ability to shoot from distance is something that we don't do very often, and in the Premier League can result in more chances that you wouldn't have otherwise had if you were trying to play it through the defence on the opposition side. So let's have a look at his passing statistics then. Passes attempted, 54.76, puts him in the 68th percentile. Not necessarily something that defines a player completely, because it can be down to the system, the way that they play. Hoffenheim might be a team who don't actually play that much possession football, and therefore Anton Stach's not making that many passes, so that one can be skewed. When we look at his progressive passes though, 5.22 per 90 puts him up in the 64th percentile, so above average for that, and it's a good sign that he likes to play the ball forward. He's not somebody who's always going to play the ball sideways and backwards. Whilst he is a good, strong holding midfielder, he will try to play the ball forward as well. He doesn't carry the ball forward that often, about the same as every other average midfielder. 1.13 per 90 puts him in the 49th percentile. So again, very average. He's not doing anything absolutely 0% of the time. He is a little bit of an all-round player with some really good defensive abilities and an ability to shoot from distance as well. So that's kind of the general player profile. And to give you a little bit more of an idea, there are some players that he's been compared to based on his statistics that kind of, they give you an idea of the player profile based on the quality of some of these players. So Amadou Haidara for RB Leipzig is someone that Leeds have been linked with. Martin Zubimendi is somebody at Real Sociedad that has been fantastic for the last couple of seasons and is drawing a lot of interest, I think, from teams like Arsenal and some other teams in the Premier League as well and all around Europe. Brian Cristante at Roma, the midfielder there, who of course playing in a Roma side who also played in the Europa League, so of good quality. And then you're looking at people like Rodrigo Bentancur as well, who plays for Tottenham Hotspur. Whilst Tottenham obviously had a very, very poor season and finished 17th, they did win the Europa Conference League and Europa Conference League? Either that or the Europa League. They won one of the European competitions that's not the Champions League. But Rodrigo Bentancur, nevertheless, is not a bad player. He's a good player in a similar mould, perhaps a little bit worse defensively than Anton Stach, but a little bit better kind of going forward as well. But similar in the kind of mould of player that they are. So that gives you an idea of kind of the player profile that we would be looking for here. And it's a quality player profile. He's played a lot of games in the Bundesliga. He's 26 years old, of course, has played 122 games in 4 seasons in the Bundesliga. So he's somebody who's going to stay fit, going to give you a very good defensive option, great in the air, and he's going to take shots from distance and bring you forward as well in that case with his progressive passing as well. So I think it's a very good mould of player to like. There's a reason why a lot of people, a lot of clubs and a lot of fans like him and want him to sign for them. If we could get the deal across the line, I think it would really, really help our midfield in terms of solidity. However, I do still think that we should sign a box-to-box number 8 now that Siddiqui and Diarra have both gone to Sunderland. We should be looking at somebody who kind of gives you that box-to-box ability as well, because Anton Stach, I don't think, is that guy. And a number 10, I think, for creativity as well, because at the moment, the area that we lack, if we bring Stach in, the area that we then lack, I think, is our creativity and goal scoring. So that's when we need to then focus on that, of course, with the left back as well. So there's lots of business to be done, lots of things to hit that button down below for, because we'll be making videos about all of it. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately. Let me know what you think of Anton Stach down in the comments below. The Leeds Creator Cup is just around the corner, so if you want to get your tickets for that, it's in the description down below, and that is on the 20th of July at the John Charles Centre for Sport, all in aid of Prostate Cancer UK. I'm captain in the Peacocks, and Joe Wainman is captain in the Yorkshire Roses. So it should be a great day out. Get your tickets down below. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, though, and I'll see you in the next one.